I never believed small decisions could change the entire course of a life. Until the night I missed my bus and walked home across the old wooden bridge. It was late September, the kind of evening that tricks you with warm air but whispers that cold days are coming. The river below the bridge looked like ink, and the street lamps flickered as if they were deciding whether to keep shining. That was the night I met Ava. Or rather, the night I collided with her. Literally. I was hurrying across the bridge when someone sprinted around the corner at full speed. We ran into each other, both of us dropping what we held. My backpack, her paper bag full of sketchbooks and pencils that scattered everywhere like startled birds. "I'm so sorry," she said, already kneeling to pick everything up. "No, it's my fault," I answered, crouching down to help. For a moment, our hands reached for the same pencil. It was an absurdly cinematic moment, one that should have ended with a cheesy romantic line. But all I managed to say was, "You draw." She smiled, this small, embarrassed smile that made her eyes soften. "Yeah, mostly people I meet. People who run into you on bridges. Those two. That was how it started. Not with fireworks, not with a confession under the stars. Just two strangers gathering colored pencils on a bridge that, until then, had never meant anything to me." The first pages. Ava lived only a few blocks away, though we had never crossed paths before. She was studying illustration, trying to create a portfolio strong enough to apply for a scholarship abroad. I walked her home that night because she had torn her jacket in the collision and the air was getting colder. When we reached the small apartment building where she lived, she surprised me by taking out one of her sketchbooks, flipping to a blank page, and jotting down a quick drawing. Me, standing awkwardly with her pencils in hand. "This is payment," she said, "for escorting a stranger home." I laughed, but the truth was that her lines captured something I didn't know could be seen. My constant anxiety, my self-consciousness, the way I carried myself like someone trying not to disturb the air around him. Her drawing turned all that into something almost gentle. "Thank you," I said, not sure why my voice sounded like it meant something much bigger. "Come by the bridge tomorrow," she said. "I want to draw you again. Properly this time." A bridge becomes a ritual. The next day, I told myself I wasn't going. But at sunset, I found myself walking toward the bridge anyway. She was already there, sitting on the railing with her sketchbook open, legs swinging as if she owned the place. When she saw me, her face lit up in a way that felt warm enough to change the weather. "You came," she said. "You said you needed a model." I said I wanted one, she corrected. "There's a difference." Day after day, we met on that bridge. Sometimes she sketched me. Sometimes she drew strangers passing by. Sometimes she didn't draw at all, and instead told me stories about the people she'd met. Old men feeding pigeons, kids chasing their shadows, travelers resting on benches to watch the river at night. I talked too, though talking wasn't something I was accustomed to. With her, words came easier. She had this rare talent of listening without making silence feel awkward. Weeks passed, then months. Soon it felt like I had known her forever. The drawing she hid. One windy afternoon, a page flew from Ava's sketchbook before she could catch it. I ran after it, grabbed it midair, and when I looked at the drawing, I froze. It was me, but not the me sitting on the bridge. Not the me walking home. Not the me she'd captured dozens of times before. This version of me looked in love. My eyes were soft. My posture relaxed. My whole expression was directed at someone else. A someone just outside the frame. Someone I didn't need to see to understand. Ava snatched the page with a flush of panic. "That one's not finished." But the way she avoided my gaze told me everything. And yet neither of us said a word. Winter, and the departure no one spoke of. When winter arrived, she started coming to the bridge less often. She claimed she was working on her scholarship portfolio, that deadlines were approaching. I believed her, but something in her voice sounded like she was hiding more. One evening, when the wind was biting and the trees rattled like bones, she didn't show up at all. I waited an hour, then two. Eventually, I walked toward her apartment, feeling ridiculous, like someone who misunderstood the rules of a relationship that had never officially begun. She answered the door with a suitcase open behind her. "You're leaving," I said, and it wasn't a question. "I got accepted," she whispered. "Classes start in January." "That's great." It was great, but it hurt in a place I didn't know existed. "I was going to tell you," she said. "I just didn't know how." We stood there, two people who weren't anything, but also everything. and we both understood that the bridge where we first collided was not going to save us this time. "Can we see each other before you go?" I asked. She hesitated. "I don't know if that's a good idea." And that was the moment I realized love sometimes arrives slowly, but leaves all at once. She closed the door softly, as if trying not to wake something fragile. But it was too late. Whatever it was had already shattered. Years of silence. Life continued its steady march. I finished school, started working, got busy, got tired. But sometimes, without meaning to, I found myself walking to the bridge. I'd linger there, remembering her humming while she drew, the scratch of pencil on paper, the way she'd swing her legs as if the edge of the world was just another seat to occupy. I told myself it was nostalgia, nothing more. Yet every time I crossed that bridge, I couldn't shake the feeling that love had brushed past me, close enough to touch, and I'd let it go. The return I didn't expect. 3 years passed before it happened. I was coming home late from work, exhausted, the city lights blurring in my eyes. When I reached the bridge, someone was sitting on the railing, legs swinging in a familiar rhythm. At first, I thought my mind was playing tricks on me. But then she turned around. Ava. Older, yes. Different, maybe. But undeniably her. "I didn't think you'd still come here," she said. "I didn't think you would." She hopped down, landing lightly. She held a sketchbook, the same brand, the same battered corners. "I came back," she said softly. "The program ended. I wanted to see the bridge again. And I wanted to see you." I didn't know what to say. There were too many things between us, 3 years of things. But then she opened her sketchbook and showed me a drawing. The drawing. The one she had ripped from my hands and hidden years ago. Only now it was finished. And in the corner, in tiny letters, she had written the date of the day we first collided. "That day," she whispered, "I knew." "Knew what?" "That I would love you," she said, "even if I didn't know how." The river murmured below us. The wind carried the cold. But for the first time in years, the bridge felt warm. "Do you still draw people you meet on bridges?" I asked. She smiled. "Only one." And then she reached for my hand. Gently, almost shyly, and I realized something. Some bridges aren't meant to be crossed just once. Some are meant to lead you back.